promotion came with a raise, a title, and one weird catch nobody would say out loud. Half the job description was another woman's brain. I've been at the company 6 years. Logistics side. In March, my director, Halvard, called me in and slid a printout across the desk. New role, regional operations lead, 22% raise. I hadn't applied. There hadn't even been a posting. He said the executive team had identified me, smiled like he was handing me a puppy, and gave me 2 weeks to accept. I floated out of that office, called my sister from the parking garage. Everyone said the same thing. Take it, don't overthink, this is how careers happen. And I almost did. But that night I actually read the job description instead of hugging it, and something snagged. Vendor renegotiation strategy, the customs compliance overhaul, the freight audit system, which the description called maintaining and expanding an existing internal auditing framework. There is exactly one person at our company who built an internal freight auditing framework, Odette. She constructed that thing over 4 years, mostly on her own initiative, and it catches billing errors that used to bleed us quietly. Real money, every quarter. The job I was being handed wasn't a new role. It was her work, retitled. This wasn't a puppy. It was a map of one specific woman's territory, and someone had erased her name from it. Odette and I aren't close. She's 54, keeps her office cold, corrects people in meetings with citations. Early on, she flagged an error of mine in front of a client call, and I resented her for a full year before admitting she'd been right. Not a warm person. But warm was never the requirement. I started paying attention. Odette had applied for the operations lead track twice, I learned. Quietly rejected both times. No feedback. Meanwhile, in meetings, I watched Halvard do this small surgical thing where her updates got summarized by someone else, in the interest of time. The last few years of her performance reviews, a friend in HR hinted, had cooled from exceptional to solid, with notes about communication style. Nothing you could point to in court, just a slow tide going out around one person. So it wasn't a mystery, really. It was arithmetic. She was the obvious candidate. They didn't want her. And I was the pleasant alternative who'd be grateful and wouldn't ask why the ceiling had a shape cut out of it already. Here's the part I'm not proud of. I spent a week trying to talk myself into it anyway. I have a car payment. I have a kid who needs braces. I told myself that if I turned it down, they'd just hire some external guy, and Odette still wouldn't get it, and the only difference would be my mortgage. That logic is airtight, by the way. It's also exactly how these things stay standing. Every individual beam is innocent. What broke it was small. I stayed late one Tuesday and passed Odette's office, and she was training the new hire on her audit system, patiently, at 6:40 p.m., building the very tools that were about to be handed to me with her fingerprints wiped off. She didn't know yet. I did. That asymmetry made me feel like a pickpocket. I didn't decline the job. I want to be honest about that, because the internet loves a flaming resignation, and that's not what happened. I went back to Halvard and said I'd accept on one condition. The freight audit ownership stays with its architect, formally, with the title and comp adjustment to match, or I'd need him to explain to me, in writing, why the person who built the system wasn't qualified to run it. I said it politely. Writing things down is only a threat to people who know how it would read. He didn't put anything in writing. What happened instead took 6 weeks, 2 awkward meetings, and 1 HR mediation, and it ended with the role split in 2. I run regional ops. Odette owns audit and compliance as a peer, not a report. My raise came in at 14% instead of 22. I think about the difference sometimes, usually around the first of the month. Odette never thanked me, which honestly tracks, and I never told her the original job description had her whole career folded inside it. But in November, my first big vendor negotiation went sideways, and at 9 p.m. an email arrived with a spreadsheet attached, subject line, "Their fuel surcharges don't survive contact with this. No greeting, no sign-off." From her, that's a fruit basket.